week's edition of What's Driving Token Prices. I'm your host, Katie Talati, Director of Research at Arca. For those joining us for the first time, I'm responsible for identifying and analyzing digital asset and blockchain opportunities for Arca's funds. As part of our research, my team and I examine token prices and the market events that act as catalysts for price change. Based on our research over the past week, here are some notable token price moves and what we think drove these moves. As a reminder, this commentary is not intended to be investment advice, investment research, or an investment recommendation. Please consult your investment professional for your own circumstances. Well, guys, I'm dialing in late at night from Singapore at Token 2049. But to just give you a quick recap on the week there, the SEC officially settled with a restaurant company called Flyfish for their NFT sale. There's been a lot of dissent and discussion around this since it really calls into question a lot about the Howey test and how it is applied in digital assets specifically today. The other big thing on the horizon is the FOMC meeting happening in a few hours. Will there be a 25 basis rate cut or 50 basis point rate cut? We will see. Most people are leaning towards 25 at this point. So should be some exciting times ahead in the market. But as always, we are here to talk about some tokens. So I will get started. So first up, we're going to talk about VEGA protocol. So VEGA protocol is a layer 1 protocol built to basically support derivatives trading. This past week, they announced that they passed a governance vote to officially wind down the chain and the native VEGA token. So the protocol, which launched in 2023, actually raised almost $51 million, including a seed round led by Pantera Capital and also a $43 million crowd sale done via CoinList in 2021. So the team has proposed using the remaining funds that the project has to fund development of open source VEGA software, which will support the launch of a new project called Nebula. Luckily, though, for token holders, they are not left out in the cold in this case. The VEGA token holders can swap their VEGA tokens to the new project's NEB tokens. So good news for that. Despite this, though, VEGA protocol is down 30% for the week. I don't believe it'll probably recover much considering it is being wound down. Okay, next we're going to talk about Helium. So Helium, the Deepin project, last week they released their V3 proposal outlining 3 main objectives as a path forward for the project. So just a quick primer on Helium. Helium is a decentralized wireless provider, and they basically now they provide wireless for IoT devices, and mobile devices have been kind of their big growth piece as of late. And they've also been kind of repositioning themselves as a hub for Deepin projects, offering their framework. They have a sub-DAO system. But they've been growing and actually seem to really find some product market fit, particularly in the mobile sector. So the proposal, though, is they've outlined a couple objectives. The first one is they're proposing creating something called the Helium Extension Network, which essentially it's just making it easy for anyone to onboard a Deepin project to Solana, which is the layer 1 chain that Helium is built on. And the idea is that people can kind of rely on some of Helium's resources for some of the data processing needs in their Deepin project. This would ultimately kind of make Helium this plug and play hub for Deepin projects in the long-term grand scheme vision. The other 2 objectives, though, focus on reworking the tokenomics for the HNT token and some of the sub-DAO tokens, as I mentioned, the IoT and mobile tokens that are part of those sub-DAO. So while the changes are just in the proposal stage and still up for a lot of community discussion, there's still many AMAs to be had, lots to come. A lot of people feel that the tokenomic changes might be a little too complicated, and also that the Helium Extension Network might just be a very ambitious project, especially given the data processing needs. It just may not be something that technologically Helium is going to be able to tackle. But it does pave a very interesting path forward for this project. So just to give you some context, however, this token is down about 16% for the week. It did have a very good run up in the last several weeks, so it's retracing some of those gains. Okay, last up, we have a 2-for-1 project here. This past yesterday, Layer 1 Protocol, the Open Network, or TON, they announced that they are going to collaborate with Curve Finance to incubate a stable swap centralized exchange for the TON blockchain. So this move might seem a little odd because if you follow Curve, which basically offers, they're called stable swaps, but it's basically in-kind swapping of assets with very little slippage and very low fees. They have actually deployed on a lot of other chains. They're pretty much they're on Arbitrum, on Optimism, on Avalanche. They've deployed to pretty much every chain. You'd wonder, why would they not just fork and make a copy onto Telegram, onto Ton's network? So the answer is actually that Ton is not an EVM compatible chain, which I think a lot of folks frequently forget. But as a result, that means that Curve cannot simply just like deploy their contracts to that chain. So for those who aren't as familiar with EVM, it is basically the computer language that it's the way that smart contract language is processed and executed on chain, is what the EVM stands for, Ethereum Virtual Machine. So smart contract platforms, layer one platforms that are not EVM compatible are not able to put those smart contracts on that new chain, because the language and the virtual machine that processes them doesn't basically talk to each other. So basically that's the reason Curve isn't launching their own thing, but instead these two big projects are working together to incubate their own project. So potentially launching this stable swap product could be really great for Ton's DeFi ecosystem, which has been a bit more on the slower side to build. To grow, with only about 400 million in TVL compared to other large layer one ecosystems. With this, Ton is up about 6.25% for the week, and Curve is down 4.6% for the week. All right, guys, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed our insights. Tune in here again next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear what's driving